7 PRC is here, and if you're wondering how 6.5 PRC, 7 PRC, and 300 PRC compare, this is the video for you. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. You've seen a ton of PRC content here on the channel. We've had multiple 6.5 PRC rifles, multiple 300 PRC rifles, and now multiple 7 PRC rifles. So I thought I'd put together a video comparing all three. But you're going to want to check out the entire series, including a high-level overview of 7 PRC, a comparison of all three different PRC cartridges, reloading for the PRC, my full custom bat build, my full custom Bergara build, a rifle builder's guide for 7mm PRC, and more. In this video, I'm going to recap specs for all of the PRC cartridges and compare those specs. We're going to do an in-depth comparison of ballistics from both a target shooter's and a hunter's perspective, and then we're going to talk about who each of these cartridges is for. Okay, so the current star of the show is the 7 PRC. It was announced October 26th at the NASGW show. It's a .284 projectile, as you would expect, because it is a 7mm cartridge, 2.280-inch case length, 3.340-inch cartridge overall length, which is the same as 300 Win Mag. So if you have a rifle and 300 Win Mag or similar, it's going to be basically drop in your barrel and you're done, which is really cool. It's got the 532-inch Magnum case head, which is going to be standard for all of the Magnum cartridges, 30-degree shoulder angle, large rifle Magnum primer, 1 1/8-inch recommended twist rate, about 3,000 feet per second out of a 180 grain projectile, which is cooking, and it is non-belted. So let's take a look at all of the PRC cartridges, kind of in a table view of the specs. So we've got 6.5, 7, and 30 cal for the bullet diameter. Case length, 6.5 PRC, 2.030. 7 PRC, 2.280 inches, 300 PRC, 2.580 inches. You can see here they proportionally grow as you'd expect from one cartridge to the next as we step up in the family in terms of the bullet diameter. Okay, so the cartridge overall length is one to pay special attention to. 6.5 PRC is 2.955-inch max for cartridge overall length. This really pushes the short action platform to the limit. You'll see notched feed ramps. You're going to pay special attention to which magazine you're using, and if all goes well, you're going to have really good feeding. And a lot of rifle OEMs have solved these problems, and I've had no problem with the rifles that I've shown on the channel. The Bergara, which is a factory rifle, and then the full custom carbon build that I did, but you do have to pay attention there. The 7 PRC at 3.340 inches, which I just mentioned a moment ago, is the same as 300 Win Mag, is going to drop comfortably into pretty much any long action rifle platform. And that was my experience with both of the rifle builds that I did. No problems at all. 300 PRC at 3.7 inches is going to push the long action platform to the max, kind of like the 6.5 PRC pushes the short action platform to the max. Case head across the board, 532. Shoulder angle across the board, 30 degrees. So this is kind of nice. I can use the same short action customs comparator inserts, for instance, for that 30-degree shoulder angle when I'm looking at things like headspace for my size or die setup. Primer is large rifle for the 6.5 PRC and large rifle Magnum for the 7 PRC and the 300 PRC. There might be some interchangeability there. You're going to want to double check with your manufacturer's load data to make sure, for instance, if you're going to try and use a Magnum primer for the 6.5 PRC, that you're safe to do so. Large rifle Magnum only for the 7 and the 300 PRC. Twist rate. 6.5 PRC is the same as 6.5 Creedmoor, which is 1 1/8 twist recommended. 7 PRC, same at 1 1/8. I did talk with Hornady. They said 1 8.5 would also work, but I didn't want an also work. I wanted to go right along with the SAMI recommendation, which was what Hornady engineered with the industry, 1 1/8. I figured that would be a good thing to do. But you will find, if you're looking for a 1 1/8 7mm barrel blank, it's a little difficult to find. I worked directly with Bartline. Frank over at Bartline was super helpful and helped me get this project done in time. Just know that that's probably the one thing you're going to have to pay super special attention to if you're building a rifle. The 300 PRC has 1 in 8.5 twist. I did one at 1 8.5, and I did 1 in 9 for the other, for the 2 builds that I've done here on the channel. You're going to want to check out those stories. Velocity for the 6.5 PRC, approximately 2,900 with the 147. That's a good, about 200 feet per second faster than the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is pretty impressive. The 7mm PRC, 3,000 feet per second out of a 180. That is some really, really good performance. And the 300 PRC will show about 2,800 feet per second from a 225, which is a lot of energy. And they are all non-belted, as you can see here, which is nice because these cartridges in the end don't really need the belt. And in terms of sizing and head spacing, it's just kind of an unneeded complication. That's my 2 cents on that matter. Okay, baseline ballistics. What I've done here is we're using the same velocities and the same bullets. And these are match bullets that we're using for all of these comparisons. And we're extrapolating hunting results from that. So just know that some of these results would vary a little bit, and if you're going to hand load each of these cartridges, you're likely to be able to get even a little bit more performance out of each. So the 6.5 PRC, and these are right off of the SAMI specs, by the way. That's why I went with these specific nominal velocities and specific bullet weights. 147 grain for the 6.5 PRC at 2,900. 180 at 3,000 feet per second for the 7, and 225 at 2,800 feet per second for the 300 PRC. And here's an example forward-off calculation that I did on the Hornady website showing that 7 at 3,000 feet per second, the 180. And I used the recommended twist rates for these calculations as well. So the first thing we want to look at is the trajectory comparison. This is based on a 100-yard zero, and this is what you're going to use. They would be the equivalent come up in inches, basically. So we're starting 1.5 inches high, and just know that when you get down to 1,000 there. And what we see here is 7 PRC is the clear winner here at negative 228.812 at 1,000. The 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC are very close in the 260s. So it's about 40 inches difference in drop between the 7 PRC here, which is the winner, and what the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC would come at. Okay, velocity comparison. What I looked at here was in a hunting scenario, if you've got a copper bullet, you're going to be looking at about 2,000 feet per second, plus or minus. This is just a reference point. And if we're hunting with something like an ELDX bullet, the expanding extremely low drag bullet, Hornady specifies 1,600 feet per second plus. So here on the chart we can see the green is we've got at least 2,000, and the yellow is we've got at least 1,600. So interestingly, all 3 cartridges are going to offer reliable expansion with ELDX bullets out to 1,000 yards. That is really impressive. If we look at something like a CX bullet, a copper bullet, or if we want 2,000 feet per second out of our ELDX bullet, the 6.5 PRC is green or above that 2,000 out to 700. The 7 PRC goes up to 900. The 300 PRC is also back at 700. So here again, we're seeing similar performance results for velocity with the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC, and the 7 PRC offers an advantage here specifically with velocity. Okay, next comparison is energy. Now we're looking at how much energy does it take to drop an elk. I'm using an arbitrary number of 1,500 foot-pounds. Again, this is a reference. Your personal threshold could be above that or could be below that. And here, again, we see 6.5 PRC lagging behind, which it's a short action. It's a 6.5, right? We're going to expect that. But we're going to get that energy at least out to 500 yards. So that is probably going to be where most people are going to be at with an elk there or closer. The 7 PRC and the 300 PRC, again, are in kind of a similar performance envelope here with energy. The 7 PRC has 1,600 feet per second out to 900 and is almost at 1,500 at 1,000. And the 300 PRC is at 1,537 at 1,000. So again, this might come down to personal preference. Momentum would be another equation in cross-sectional density to look at and other bullet dynamics. But pretty impressive that both 7 and 300 PRCs here are going to be able to take an elk out to 1,000. Now, that's an extremely long shot. I wouldn't recommend anybody actually do that, but hypothetically, that's where these cartridges land. Okay, finally, wind drift. This is going to affect both target shooters and hunters. And here we see a progression where we've got the lowest wind drift with 7 PRC, 300 PRC comes in right in the middle, and 6.5 PRC has the most wind drift. So at 1,000 yards, the 6.5 PRC would have 57 inches of wind drift. The 7 PRC would have 44, and the 300 PRC would be at 49. So it's kind of like low, medium, high here on wind drift, with 7 PRC coming in at the lowest, then 300 PRC, and then 6.5 PRC. So really interesting to look at these cartridges together. I think they are all three amazing hunting cartridges, and I think the 7 PRC is both a great hunting cartridge and a great target cartridge for that matter. Because in my experience so far shooting it, the recoil is extremely manageable. You can see here ballistically with both wind and with drop, we've got stellar performance. And there's all sorts of bullets in this category. The 180 ELDM shot really, really well. I had a point, it was in the threes, the first 3-shot group that came out of the full custom bat rifle. So the potential is there. I haven't gone through my full load development and load workups on this, but I have confirmed these velocities, and with my 28-inch barrel, I'm getting even higher velocity compared to what Hornady publishes. 3,100 feet per second, easily attainable with a 180 ELDM or a 175 ELDX. I've shot both of those. And then I've got the Bergara build, which focused on shorter, more compact, more suppressor-friendly handling dynamics. And it's about 150 feet per second behind the 28-inch barrel. So definitely a lot of versatility here, and I think this equation is really amazing and really powerful. I kind of thought that Hornady might go and, you know, neck the 6.5 up to a 7 or something like that, but now I see this equation of landing at basically a competitor to the 7 Rem mag and the 300 Win mag in that same overall, you know, form factor. Very clear advantages, and if you go to the overview video, I compare popular hunting cartridges against the 7 PRC, and when it comes to the 7 Rem mag or the 300 Win mag ballistically, the 7 PRC clearly beats it in terms of, if you compare factory 300 Win mag, factory 7 Rem mag, and factory 7 PRC rifles against each other with those typical twist rates. If you're going to do a full custom, do a custom twist rate, fully hand-loaded custom ammo, you know, you can get a lot closer here. But if you're going to buy a factory rifle, if you're going to use factory ammunition, my take is the 7 PRC is extremely strong in its value proposition. Okay, so to wrap it all up, the 6.5 PRC is the only PRC that is available to fit a short action rifle. So if you want something like a PRC and you want it in a short action form factor, the 6.5 PRC is definitely the choice. I would call the 7 PRC the all-rounder. It is easy to shoot. It is, so far, what I'm finding, easy to reload for. You're going to want to check out that video when it comes out. And in terms of the ability to drop it right into a standard internal or detachable box magazine and have it roll in a traditional long action platform, it's very friendly to that. The 300 PRC is definitely the heavy hitter. It has amazing high BC, 225 grain ELDM, for instance, performance, and it pushes it to the limit even a little bit further. But in terms of pure ballistics, in terms of wind drift and drop, I think, the 7 PRC is at least just as good as the 300 PRC. But all three of these are going to get the job done. Unless you're hunting elk out at 800 to 1,000 yards, the 6.5 PRC is going to get the job done. Is the 7 PRC going to give you additional confidence? Yes. Is the 300 PRC the absolute heavy hammer? Absolutely. So I think there's definitely a use case for all three, but the 7 PRC, if you're willing to go to a long action, is the all-round king, I think, of this particular lineup. But what I would like to know from you is, what do you think? What do you think of the 7 PRC? What do you think of the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC? What do you think of them compared together? And what do you think of the 7 PRC compared to the other cartridges that you're looking at, your 28 nozzler, your 300 Win Mag, your 7 Rem Mag? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Make sure you're subscribed. A lot of good content, as I outlined at the beginning of this video, coming up. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you're interested in becoming a professional gunsmith, check out the Sonoran Desert Institute. They've got a degree program, they've got a certificate program, and you can study from home. Learn more at sdi.edu. Thanks again for watching.